Good day and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. Last week I had some complaints about the sound. I did an extra check this week and I hope it's okay. To kick off the broadcast, we've got Goliath, which has been, well, shall we say, talked about a lot, supposedly a lot of functionality, and we'll see if that is going to show. At the other end of the map we've got a new competitor. It's Amal Jurizetti. And Amal is playing Protoss, is having some difficulty in getting the 2 or 3 probes to mine. Well, 7 are mining, we've got a gateway, and it seems that we are going to be in for some kind of early game play. Same goes for Goliath, and Goliath still... That's interesting. Also a lot of workers not mining, or 3 at least. And all these workers of Amal's aren't working either, so hopefully this is something of both new bots and hasn't got anything to do with the OpenBW replay viewer, for which I've got to thank TSCMU and Im42. As we can see, 2 more gateways, another pylon for Amal, and no combat units crossing the valley. Although we've got a bit of a car chase going on in the middle of the map. We've got an SCV being chased by a probe. And the SCV can... the probes do come and defend. That's pretty nifty, but most of the probes still aren't mining, and most of the SCVs here aren't either. So I don't really know what's going on. Again, the crossing of 2 workers. And there we go. Yep. It seems like the AIs have died somehow. Terran isn't doing anything anymore. Protoss got a lot of minerals. Okay, sorry. Well, this happens. Amal, let me get another game. And, well, why not versus Surin? Where are we? It is Amal versus Surin Klet. Oh, sorry, let's get back to the replay viewer. This game obviously has ended. And another attempt, different map. We've got Surin with bwapi, renowned Terran, and of course all the SCVs are mining, and all the SCVs are mining for Amal this time, so... Looks like... oh, there we go again. No. Looks like to be something wrong with Amal. I think every mineral patch has got a probe mining, so that might be it, but this time we've got Zealots. And of course that's an improvement. First Zealot making its way across the map, and Surin is there with the bunker, but unfortunately there aren't any Marines. And Surin isn't mining either. That's not good. Is Amal... I've never seen Surin do this before. Oh, that is a city. Okay, so next game. What have we here? Amal. Yes, well, let's show a game of Eric Hammers. Well, let's start the game, otherwise nothing is going to happen at all. And Eric Hammer is going to play Ximp, because Dark Eric, the author of Eric Hammer, has been working so very hard. He's in chat 24/7, he is updating on an hourly basis all around the clock. And the results show, so here we go. We've got the first expansion being taken at the 3rd, and here it seems like another base is almost taken. Spawning pool is an interesting build. Of course, Thomas Weider's Ximp is going for the carrier thing, and here too we see 2 workers not working, and mineral count is getting incredibly high. Oh damn. It looks like the replay function is dead. Let me reload. And there we go, same game. I hope nothing's awry. Oh, a little bit loud. Okay, so now we have got the game working. Okay, so now it is working again. Let's get back to the first game. Goliath versus Amal Jurizetti. Haha! And all the workers are mining happily, and the same at this end. It is incredible. The gateways have been placed, the minerals are being kept down somewhat at least, and we see a first... the first Zealot is here of course. We see a Zealot and a couple of Marines from Goliath. Amalja Rossetti going for a 3-gate or 1 base. And let's see what more. Oh, that's good. It's an expansion while pressuring the Terran. The Terran, though, is struggling to make units. And soon will be struggling to make anything at all because the Zealot numbers are increasing. And although, oh well, there is a steady influx of Zealots. So for this moment in time, it's going to be Zealots, no gas, no work transfer, but a lot of Zealots, and that's the game. So Amalja Rossetti, welcome. We'll be watching you. Congratulations with your first broadcasted match, and hope to be seeing you again soon. And oh well, let's just do it. We had that game anyway, Amalja Rossetti versus StarCraft, and hope this time it won't bug out like the first 3 games did. And well, this can have any number of reasons. I'm not quite sure how or why, but Amal going for the same 2-gate and just a move Zealots shtick. Scouting SCV for StarCraft coming over, and StarCraft now with some Marines in the bunker. That will be much better. Going to need that because there is... oh dear. And now going for the SCV. Perhaps the SCVs might hold, but the Zealots are all over this. The SCV is coming too late, and the Zealots have this. Now CERN is going to have to hope to get a Vulture out soon and do some ungodly micro, because as you can see, Amalja Rossetti is not wasting any time, just making pylons, gateways, probes, and here's the Nexus, of course, the expansion. And there we go. So the first Vulture is out, and with a couple of SCVs and a Marine, it might still prevail. Now 2 Vultures out, and of course with the decent micro that StarCraft has, Zealots are not really going to be a major trouble. A couple of Marines will die, a couple of hits may be incurred still, because it's hard to micro in these enclosed premises of the base, but as you can see, we've now got 2 Vultures, more are coming, SCVs are doing their thing. And although, oh that's nice, 2 Zealots here laming out. Will we see any more tech from Amal? There isn't a probe going, perhaps it's going to do something cute, but no, just mining. Take another pylon, and Whopper is slowly but surely gaining the map with 3 Vultures now, but they'll have to move back to base. 1 Vulture even dies, and I think that if this production increase keeping up, if there is a 3rd to be taken, it's just going to be Zealots upon Zealots upon Zealots. The 1 base Terran may eventually run into a war where it just can't outproduce the enemy anymore. So 3 Vultures clearing the base, now a tank, perhaps this might work, but as you can see, 2 more gateways coming, and this seems to be nicely balanced by Amalja Rossetti. Might take a 3rd with all the minerals it's got. 43 workers, which is quite enough, and only 12 for StarCraft now with a siege tank. Of course, in single combat, siege tanks aren't really the best versus Zealots, because siege tanks do a lot of splash damage to your own units, and if you haven't got too many units, you're going to be vulnerable, especially with the range, the minimal range for the siege tank to fire. Oh, that's a good position, but the Zealot numbers are going to increase, and yep, there we go. 3rd base being taken by Amalja Rossetti, and this tank now in its... ooh, this is going to be so close. It's just going to be a never-ending stream of Zealots, and here we go, another gateway. Wow, that's impressive. No upgrades, no gas, just workers, pylons, gateways, and Zealots. And the Zealots now move back because they see this siege tank, and that's unfortunate because they could just... oh, there we go. They just need a little bit of a push. They can do so well against siege tanks, only with 1 base, and the 3rd base is up, so this is going to be a hard lot for Whopper. The new guy with total lack of disrespect for technology and for game plan, just going to do Zealots, and there is no army left for Whopper at all. Being driven back to the ramparts of its own base, and all the gateways pumping. Amal keeping its money down nice and tight. 70 workers almost, and balancing them, it looks like. Mining out the main base in record speed, but if it's going to keep expanding, yeah, that's nice. Building production at the 3rd too. That's very well done, because if your main for some reason gets trounced, it's going to be a major problem. And Whopper teching 2 battle cruisers. I think if you can get out a battle cruiser or a handful of wraiths, they might do quite well against these Zealots, but At the moment there is no income coming in, and there is a steady stream, look at this, pouring into the base, and it looks like this game is all but over, because here goes the science facility. There go the last couple of workers. No workers left, no money left, and that means that Zealots will have free reign. No fourth yet. And lots of pylons, look at that, the mass of pylons, but it all seems to be dynamically done because Amal is maxed. There is just one Zealot after another. It's got 75 workers of 3 bases. The Zealots mulling around a bit, but they can be forgiven because they've done an exquisite job dying for Aya. It turned out today actually was a good day to die. More gateways, and as you've got more money and are maxed, you build more gateways, so you can remax your entire army at one click. Okay, so Mal Giuseppe, welcome to the show. And now let's get into the game, which I selected to demonstrate the progress of Eric Hammers. Eric Hammer, of course, I said it before, has been updated so much. Name gives a bit of away a bit. It is a clone or well, an improvement upon Steamhammer, I should say, which of course is an improvement upon University of Alberta bot, and we've seen so many bots being based on Steamhammer on University of Alberta bot. They basically, with a couple of important, although must say, exceptions, seem to dominate the brute war AI scene. So Dave Churchill, thank you very much for starting that beautiful, well-documented project. And as we can see, it's going to be a Hydra Den with 1, 2, 3, 4th base being started and a 5th base going to be made as well. So strength in numbers seems to be the adage of Eric Hammers in its fight versus Xib. Not going to run down the cannons because with all this production the worker count is pretty equal. Army count of course is only 10 for Eric Hammers, and it's going to be only Hydras. And we'll need a small sneak peek on the upgrades. It's got the weapon, the Hydra range, it's got weapons upgrade 1 started, and the upgrade in Hydra speed as well. So I think it's got another Hydra Den somewhere. The Hydra's now moving out, coming from all angles, going to converge upon the cannons, and a lot of them are dying, but the first cannon has been engaged, and that's just as well because the starports are flashing and the first carriers coming out of the wharf, and this is going to be ugly because Eric Hammer is taking all the bases on the map, worker count skyrocketing, but the army count still pretty low. It's only 11 Hydras, and the 11 Hydras can't even keep up with these 4 initial carriers. Of course, taking this base is a bit of a stretch because there are carriers all over it, and the Overlord is going to suffer as well, but the thing's, nah, let's not. And the Hydras are going to be A-moved, so that's okay at normal speed, and the carriers are just going for the throat. And look at that, there is a spore colony and a dancing drone. I don't know what that's about. I think one is a lair, another is a hive, but now it's, oh dear, the carriers have found the main base already. And of course there are Hydras coming. The Hydras are coming from everywhere, but the numbers are so slow, and then you need a good dose of micro. That's the hive, and that's the Queen's Nest. But what these carriers will do, they'll target the Hydra Den, and without a Hydra Den you can have all the drones in the world with a sunken. There are no Hydras going to be made anymore, and of course a couple of Hydras will deter the carriers a little bit, but this Hydra Den is so low already, and if these Hydras for a moment let up their slow march of death onto the ramp, oh there, here comes the next wave of carriers, and this base will suffer. There are Hydras, a lot of Hydras, and Eric Hammer's only got 1 Hydra Den. The Hydra here is stuck among the workers. All these workers, 74 workers, all the bases, but really you don't only need workers and combat units, you also need, let's go for the main power generator, you also need tactics. And now the Hydras are beating back the first group of carriers, but now we've got 2 groups of carriers and we've got no Hydra Den at all. The main hive is going down. We've got a Defiler mount, that's interesting. And I think this is going to be the new Hydra Den, but look at the money for Eric Hammers. It's absolutely exploding. And the Hydras just can't get a foothold versus these carriers. These carriers are sort of stumped too. But oh, we've got a hard link switch. Look at all these links. I think Eric Hammer thinks, well, we haven't been able to make Hydras for a while. These Hydras need to get up here at once to save the main. and it's not like StarCraft 2 where if the creep is gone, these units will peter out and bleed to death. But you can't let your main be terrorized like this and have all these Hydras sitting over here. You've got to do something with cliffing, and these Hydras too are moving to and fro, not doing anything, and these Zerglings should just kill these cannons, move in there, try to get something done. Whoa, that's a lot of hatcheries. So if there is a Hydra Den here, Eric Hammer's got the money, it's got the production, it's got the technology, but it hasn't got the grouping behavior to fight off these carriers effectively. And how do you fight off such a lot of carriers effectively? That's a question that any and all bots still struggling with. Look at these Zerglings, they aren't doing anything. No technology being built though, so that's a bit of a goo-glue. It looks like Eric Hammer is only able to build technology at its main. A couple of spores and sunkens at other bases, and oh dear, here's the natural, so might be there, but that's not a safe place by any means. And here come the carriers, and they are going for the Hydra Den. The Hydra Den once more is dead. Another band of carriers roving the map here. Eric Hammer's got all the money in the world, it's got 100 workers almost. But it's got 3 on my supply, and that's not enough, and it's now exploding, veritably exploding in hatcheries. Oh, and here we've got some technology too, so that's good. We've got at least... but look at all these carriers. How are you going to stop all these carriers? There must be at least 12 now. That's just too much carriers, and these Zerglings, they should just attack, but they don't. Eric Hammer's got the larvae, he's got the money, he's got the workers, got the everything. Here comes the pool, here come more hatcheries, got a defiler too. How will Eric Hammer ever bounce back from this? And now trying to retake the bases. Ximp is mined out for all intents and purposes. It's got a bit of a bank, but it can't do too much. Fortunately for Ximp, carriers are pretty cheap once bought. So as long as they don't die, and now the Lynx come in and the Defiler is there. So with Dark Swarm this is going to be... We need one more Swarm here, gentlemen, please. And all the Lynx and the Defilers, please. Could we have that, please? Yep, there we go. Defiler again with energy, just outside of the cannon range. But no cigar. And there are just too many carriers all over this. No Hydra Den. We've got a pool, we've got a Defiler mount. And one more base being taken with the Hydra Den rebuilt. Okay, that's pretty good. And now the battle is on, and the Defilers are consuming everything left and right. The Zerglings are all over this and are doing pretty well. Of course, Ximp is mined out, so if it will spend any money in rebuilding this base or rebuilding its ground army, it's all money lost, and that is going to be painful in the end. But Eric Hammer is the new base, has got 2 bands of carriers in it already. So economy-wise it's doing absolutely stellar. Still got a big bang, a lot of workers retaking bases all across the map, but really hasn't got its show together. It can't really build a large standing army to contest all of these carriers. We've got 8 here, we've got 8 there, and I don't really see Eric Hammer doing anything about that. We've got a couple of Hydras, and of course look at the mineral bank of Ximp, because it's 2600. And now the Hydras are in sufficient numbers to shoot down a couple of drones every once in a while. Ooh, but the new base with the Hydra Den is being found by these carriers, and these carriers, although Eric Hammer is still microing its heart out and now even going to try to take the natural of Thomas Vitus Ximp, the main is under pressure, but the bank of Ximp is slowly draining. It's slowly draining, and although these Hydras are under massive attack, Eric Hammer can sort of afford to trade if it occasionally kills a couple of interceptors, which it seems to be doing, and the main is not defenseless. There is a small ground army. Eric Hammer is taking more bases, still got the economy, but still there are so many carriers in the air. We've got 8 here, 8 there, and the interceptor numbers are okay. They are very okay, and again the main, or this is the new main I suppose, is going to be suffering. That has been rebuilt, and the bank of Ximp is now 1400. So that's really going to be, it's going to be a countdown game. Lots of drones being rebuilt, drone numbers suffering a little bit. Whoa, that's a really large commitment to drone production. But will it? 1300, and all the carriers are still maxed on interceptors, and now it looks like Eric Hammer hasn't got the production anymore. It should build a lot of spore colonies, anything that fights off carriers, And is this going to be a hatchery? There is a small army here, but there is just not enough Eric on the map anymore. Thomas Vitus Ximp is bleeding money, everything, it cannot replace anything. But look at this carrier army, it is invincible. And it's coming for this base. And the next base being here, I think Ximp has held this round. Eric Hammer, despite all the multiform upgrades it's got, it is not able to contest the might of Ximp yet. And I say yet because, of course, it will be watching this match. And these two Hydras doing, oh, they could very well take that base. There is a Zealot coming, there are hardly any workers left. The Nexus lives, and with a new Nexus there is hope for Ximp, and that is the game, because that's the last extractor. Ximp taking the game, and that is that. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That is so absolutely astounding. And just going to work my way backwards, because I've got so many cool games to show you, at least I hope they are, because the authors of these bots have been working so hard, and it's just going to be one big slugfest, one after another. And we've got Microwave versus McRave, and all the Aves are pretty good as well, because Scouting Probe is bothering these drones a little bit, but not getting too much done. Expansion being taken, and a Forge Fast Expand for McRave too. Of course, that is going to be, I think, an expansion. Yep, there we go. Scout 4. Zerg is alive still. And now we see a handful of Zerglings. The question is, oh, they are going for the Forge! They could have run by, but they could have... Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, they went for the Forge. That's unfortunate. Of course, more Lings are coming up. But that looks like no cigar for our resident Zerg Microwave. Behind all this, the expansion of McRaves is completing, a couple of probes being transferred. There we go, a little bit of tech, one gateway, that's very late. That's very late, because a concerted drone Zergling push, oh poor Overlord. Concerted Zergling push might have taken these cannons by storm, even with worker defense. I think Zerg would have come out ahead. 2 Sunkens, very expensive for Microwave, there hasn't been anything but a probe out here. And of course you've got the workers here, so basically what you do, make one creep colony and then morph it into a sunken if there is anything moving out of the Protoss base. Small army being put together by McRave, more gateways added, and the thing is, it's just not aggressive enough. Microwave could have easily taken another base, instead going for a hatchery in base and a hell of a lot of tech. That's impressive. Now, McRave has assembled a push, and if you look at the army supplies, it's 50 versus 6. And yes, there is a defensive position here, but there is a Corsair out now too, so these Overlords won't be safe. Are there Hydras? Yes, there are 2, and there is a Sunken. That's pretty good, because with the increase of Protoss players being based on Steamhammer, it's relatively easy to make a sort of Corsair play, which of course will prompt Zergs to build... Oh dear, that's just silly, throwing away a Muta, that's horrible. Will force the Zergs to make Sunkens, and that is not the right approach. Is building a SimCity of defensive structures. It's very expensive, and you can't attack, you can't exert any map dominance, and if push comes to shove, it's just a hard fight with Sunkens versus Zealots. Unless, of course, you've got a couple of lurkers. Are there lurkers? No, there aren't. Small air army being assembled. McRave not going for an expansion either, so I don't know what that is. A huge army being assembled in the natural. Will we have a... No, I think this is not bugging out. Microwave with a small army and a little bit of air. No expansions yet, but these Corsair numbers are just too great for any really dedicated... Oh god, please don't do it. This Zerg army is so small, both players could have taken expansion. McRave now availing himself of the opportunity, and these Mutas with all the cannons and the Dragoons, they just can't get anything done whatsoever. They basically evaporate, and the Serre numbers are growing. We've even got High Templars into the mix. McRave is nearly maxed, now maxed with a bank, and only 46 workers, so a huge army, but it's not doing anything with that. Microwave, of course, doing its 2-base shtick without workers in the main for some reason. Don't know what that's about. Going for an army, but the army can't penetrate here. The army of Protoss is there. and I do wonder if the OpenBW replay viewer isn't completely out of whack, because McRave has got such a bank not doing anything at all. Let me reload the replay viewer once more, because I really can't see this being any kind of a valid play. And here comes the replay again, going to the middle of the map. Yep, there we go. And it seems like the game's playing out just the same. And there we go again, very fast, conflicting armies in the middle. And it seems like this is really how this game played out. So yeah, there we go. Zealots here. Scourge dying to the cannons every once in a while. The game's still speeding up because it's apparently it can't pick just any point in the game. Lots of muters and goons defending. High Templar not really coming to the fore. Need to pause it. Why can't I pause it? Oh, and now the Protoss army. Oh, sorry, I scrolled too hard and the game can't really pause. Okay, so now finally both players seem to have gotten unstuck. The Protoss army powered through. All the zealots are here, and Microwave just off 2 bases. Too slow, too little, and there you go. I've also been sent this game by by 2 people, Martin Royaker sent it to me, and I think Hannes Bradberg himself too. So must be good. Martin wrote a small description in email what it was supposed to be doing, so I don't. I didn't read that, but if you get a game like this of relatively new Terran and one of the best bots in the pack, it's surely going to be either entertaining or a horrible upset, so let's go and find out. Crazio going for a 2 Marine into, well, a little bit of mech, looks like. Very passive of 1 base. Look, oh god, all the Marines are there already, and the Vultures of course can out-micro Marines, but they will lose some hit points too, and they either need repairs or they're going to suffer in the long run, especially since Bradberg's got an expansion already. And going for, it looks like, oh no, that's a depot, more barracks, and Crazio really needs a tank right now. Here is the tank, can it siege yet? These Marines are dancing in and out too much versus the tanks. I think you can hold 1 versus 2 bases. Here comes another barracks. Oh dear, Bradberg really pulling all the stops, and now with the siege mode I think you're pretty much done in a bio versus Marine war. So will we see Bradberg taking over the map and building just a huge lot of Marines and then moving out? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Crazio shutting everything down. Now with the high ground use, I've seen him do this before, that's pretty well done. In emulation of Icebot, I think Crazio now the 2nd bot which actively uses high ground, and it can be such an advantage because as a Marine perhaps you can stand here and 1 or 2 might just hit those tanks. This tank is impregnable, it can take out Marines forever, no matter the amount. Crazio taking a 3rd, and Bradberg, look at that, all over the map, and taking, oh hello. That's a science vessel, that's a covert ops. I've got a bad feeling about this. Crazio not taking its natural, taking the base here, and Bradberg's pretty much got every other base on the map. It's got a huge area it commands, and is now just building Marines. Oh god, we've got the first ghost. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We've got a nuclear silo, and we've got another one, it's flashing. Got another base being shut down by Crazio, now being relieved hopefully by this small band of ghosts and Marines, while the tanks of Crazio are fighting a horrible bloody war versus all the infantry of Hannes Bradberg. Crazio with the scans, scanning all the ghosts, and of course you're going to run out of scans because you've only got 2 bases and no science vessel, so that base, that comsat's depleted, this one is depleted, and we've got we had a ghost just pingling away at these tanks. Oh dear, that's a nuke. It's not ideally placed, Crazio moving out of the way, sort of, but these 2 buildings, they're gonna get it. And no units hurt. Oh, this tank got a nice mouthful, but these 2 buildings took it right in the face. Ooh, and another nuke. Oh god, that's absolutely... And the Marines now pour into the... Ooh, into the wave, and oh god, all the carnage unleashed upon these poor infantry units. Hannes Bradberg's got 1, 2, 3, 4 silos, and they're all flashing, so I suppose we know what Bradberg is doing out there. It's going for more infantry units, no upgrades looks like, and it's just going to be pouring infantry into this gap. Crazio, of course, is going to defend, but what can you do? Oh, this looks like a double nuke. And this one is... Oh, it just gets nipped in the butt before the nuke takes off. Crazio now with 2 Wraiths, desperately struggling to get some kind of a foothold versus these Marines. And with the cloak, of course, they will take splash damage from the siege tanks because... Oh, there we go again. Crazio not moving away this time. Boom, there we go. And of course, that's cost inefficient, but... Or at least it is. 200, the tank and the Wraith. Pretty well done, especially if you've got the entire map at your disposal. And they just keep coming, and what I was talking about, this tank over here, oh, this one gets focused right in the middle. We've got 2 of them. And are they both targeting the same tank? The tank's now unsieging, it's moving out of the way, and a double nuke! Oh, that's just BM for good measure. 2 nukes at once. And no! The SCVs died due to mines, and Hannes Bradberg is really displaying... Oh god, where is it? It's here, and it's going to do a lot of damage. Crazio going for a covert ops of its own. The Ghost gets killed. Crazio really needs a science vessel. This base is under attack. Oh god, this one... Oh, I saw that one taking off, and now it's coming down. Oh, that's going to be hurt because all the workers Crazio's, and this Ghost of course too. Boom! Everything dies, and Crazio is now out of workers, and the workers which are there still are here. Crazio's got a bit of a bank, but with... Oh god, another nuke is coming, and another Ghost is just walking in, clearing mines. 2 nukes, landing, 1 here, boom. Another one there, and the tank here has been cleared as well, so now we've got a bit of... Oh dear, oh dear. And another tank. At this point, Bradberg can just afford to trade tanks with... kill single workers with nukes. The 3rd base is not being repaired, and that's going to cost Crazio the game probably, or the game hasn't been lost already. The carnage is going to ensue, and Crazio is foundering. This base is not going to be repaired. Workers will be transferred, but without command center. And now the base here, the entrance has been sort of regained by Crazio. We've got a tank out there. It's going to defend the 3rd, which isn't anymore. What is Bradberg doing? Bradberg is waiting. Waiting. What is going on? Nukes are being built. Did I see a nuke taking off? Nothing here, nothing there. It's walking in cloaked and walking in range of this turret, so this tank will then snip it. This tank with only 10 HP left. And that's the game. I think 1 on a timeout or something like that. Or Crazio just left, could be 2. Hannes Bradberg with a very interesting play, taking a game of Crazio, one of the top bots in the pack. And another game, we've got Oyvind Johansson, been working hard at his random bot, now playing Terran, so let's see what he's going to do. As the worthy opponent, I took McGrave because McGrave is, well, disappointed a little bit last game versus Microwave because not really updating. And Johansson is just going to be a moving couple of Marines, but there is pressure on now for the Terran. McGrave coming in with a couple of goons. Handful, a small army being there, and the goons move right back to base. And Johansson going to take an expansion. The expansion of McGrave having been up for some time, giving McGrave the economic advantage. Our valiant Protoss now in true brute war AI fashion, microing back and forth like a crazy madman, still letting a vulture slip through. Oh, and the tanks and the vultures of Johansson are being cut down in the middle of the map, and the production isn't there yet, so McGrave now putting pressure on the Terran, and there we go. The tank is doing so much damage, and focusing the command center, that's not really working. Taking no 3rd as well, but the pressure is on, and the tank's being so exposed by Johansson, it is really a... there we go, you got to play defense a little bit more, and McRave just tearing into this like it's his birthday and going for the throat. Third base now not operational, being claimed. A couple of probes being transferred, now operational, and that's the game. So Wavin, really well done, but that's a lot of tech, and your unit positioning could do with a little bit of work, because a gateway Protoss you can hold off very well with a couple of tanks. If you've got a couple of tanks in the high ground, build a depot here, some tanks there, a couple of mines, and you'll be pretty safe until the Protoss starts getting really ridiculous in the macro department, or pull some kind of tech out of its hat, and then you'd be okay. So Martin Royakers, for the moment, thank you as one of the two persons sending me in that Brad Burke vs Grazier game. And the other one is, of course, Sparks, and I'd just like to see how Sparks is doing versus Martin Royakers. And there we go, Martin going for one base play, looks like. And Sparks going for, well, Sparks play basically, just Marines, medics, and the +1 timing into a one base push. Martin going for safe play, or one base, and we see that a lot actually, just a lot of Terrans going for one base. Oh dear, sorry. And now all the bios fleeing from the tank, so we see a lot of Terrans doing one push of one base with either pure bio or pure mech, or a combination of both. The big problem of Sparks at this moment is that it's not engaging the siege tanks. And if you're not engaging them, the tanks are closing in on you, and this is going to be a constant stream of units of only 2 factories, that's true. So with a couple of barracks you might easily at least do damage, because you're going to lose units anyway, you might as well trade. And now it's just down the line, over the top, and into the Valley of Death. Rode all the infantry of Sparks. Martin, not being daunted, just keeps feeding the push. And there we go, all the medics in the world can't help that. And I wonder why you would build medics if there are no Marines left, so that's some kind of a quirk with this Sparks play. Let's hop into the next game, because there is more. We've got BFT Joe Terran, used to play Zerg pretty well, I imagine. And TSCMU Zerg 2, well, has not really been updated, but tweaked a little bit for CIG, I believe, so might be a good test for BFT Joe if he can throw up with the big guys, take on TSCMU Zerg in a straight-up game. And on this beautiful big map, I thought, well, let's have a good ZVT. Of course, taking the Zerg's perspective, not only because TSCMU don't do that anymore, because I like Zerg the best, they are so cute and cuddly. And it's just a testament to Ma Jae-yoon and Jaedong, which I love so much. It's no words. Let's not get into that. And there we go. BFT Joe going for 4 Marines on a mission. What are they going to do? Because by now you could really think, well, perhaps we're going to find an Overlord or something like that. And TSCMU Zerg is going for 1 defensive structure, and it really has got only 1 army supplier, which is 2 Lings, and hasn't got any larvae too. So that might be against all odds, and the size of the map. 1 Overlord called now, so that's always a good thing to pick off. Will supply block TSCMU with 2 Sunkens, and now with 3 army supply worth of Zerglings. Oh, and the Zerglings with a nice flank, push back the Marines. 2 more Marines coming up, but these Marines really need to wash their ass, because if they don't, they're going to get bitten, and if you are bitten enough in Brute War as a Marine, that means a certain death. Then, BFT Joe going for 2 barracks and 1 more barracks, and this is a factory, I suppose. We'll go and find out. It's Marines versus Zerglings in the middle of the map. TSCMU building, I think, another hatchery. So, or maybe a spire, I don't know. The Marine numbers are increasing. Of course, there are now 3 Sunkens, and no expansion for BFT Joe Terran. The Marines are playing tag with the Zerglings in the middle of the map. The medic is out of position. With a medic and a couple of marines you could do quite well, but the movement of BFT Joe Terrans seems to be lacking, and here we've got the Spire, and perhaps this is going to be another... Okay, well that's the first muter. That's another base soon to be taken by TSCMU Zerg. But now the marine and medic have formed up, so TSCMU going to be in a bit of a quandary. Its saving grace is that there is no natural for BFT Joe Terran, and you can build nice concaves, but if the bio ball is growing and growing, what can you do in the end but get your defenses run down and surrender? We've got 1-2 muters taking on a marine by themselves. That is not going to win you the battle because there are medics too, and the bio ball is now approaching the natural of TSCMU. Of course there are 3 sunkens, but without any support, and there they go, with the stim in, with the medics, and the first sunken is going to go down. The first sunken is going to go down, but the web is closing, and if they... Oh, but all the sunkens are gone, the drones have to evacuate. You've got to give TSCMU props for that, but there is just too much damage being done, and the muters don't really dare venture in. Oh dear, the marine ball is too tight. The muters don't really dare engage, and the marines are so good in, and the medics have they got energy still. They're getting low on energy, but the damage is being done, and more units are moving in. The muters cannot stand the tide of these marines being fed into the melee, and there we go, natural taken down. Is there a single sunken here? No, just a lot of workers, and the workers are caught like snails in a trap. Not going anywhere. TSCMU has got 1 base here with no drones, or 1 drone, that's not really count. No natural yet for BFT Joe Terran, and the bio ball is wrecking the main as well. Now moving back. I wonder why. More marines coming up though, and TSCMU struggling with the thin orange line of Zerglings, and the bio ball doesn't dare climb the stairs for some reason. That's unfortunate. TSCMU now propping up some defenses in the mineral line, and a handful of Zerglings. There are still some Zerglings out on the map. Half a muter and an overlord. What's this? Another muter. So we've got 2 muters, handful of Zerglings, and a lot of bio in the middle, but the bio didn't dare cross the ramp while there were units out there. And now TSCMU is looking to hold the next push, but what can it do? Only the push doesn't dare make its way across up to the ramp, but seems to have found this base here, and if this gets cut down, TSCMU will be isolated, and it hasn't got... Look at this Portry Zerg army versus all these marines, and although the marines are panicking out because they don't like flying, they've got a fear of flying, and all the medics are here overseeing the destruction of the 3rd base of TSCMU. TSCMU now taking back the natural, but I think with the army supply as it is, and especially the composition, it's M&M versus muters and Zerglings. You can't really do anything with that. And TSCMU with the harassing components, I think a couple of lurkers, with a couple of sunken, you've got a lot of staying power in defense, but TSCMU just trying to play its cool. Now another base being taken for BFT Joe. More tech, and look at this building placement, it's just all over the map. It's really cute. And the muters now grown in numbers, but the natural is going to die again. And now TSCMU, oh, the muter numbers are growing well out of control for this marine army, and the muters, although they're suffering a lot of damage, are taking down marines slowly but surely, and there they go. The muters saving the natural. Can TSCMU bring it back from the brink of death? All the medics are panicking, are really kicking it. Oh, BFT Joe doing some kind of a mech switch now on 3 bases, but there is a muter here disrupting things. No 3rd base yet, the main is getting low. TSCMU taking a 3rd, and the muter flock of course is way out of control. BFT Joe with a nice large bank, but it hasn't got the army, it's only got 10 army supply, and if you've got 10 army supply and there are about 15 muters outside your base, you are in a big mess. And there we go, the muters taking it over, and TSCMU bringing it back from certain defeat because the bio ball of BFT Joes didn't dare make its way up the ramp. The TSCMU long distance mining because its main is getting low too. But the muters are all over this. They've got the ramp, there are some lings too, so muters not suffering anymore, and the production of BFT Joe is camped. It's gone. It's 35 versus 4 army supply. The army of BFT Joes is not coming off the ground ever again. The muters got this, and the base being shut down. TSMU's army supply is growing, and going to call the GG on BFT Joe Terran's behalf. So, another TSMU game, and after that we've only got one more. It's TSMU Protoss versus Black Crow, coded by a man or a woman called Dukra. And Black Crow has impressed me last game because it used to gather up a wave of Zerglings at the natural, oh there we go again, and used to send it over in a wave, so that was very interesting. TSMU Protoss going for the Forge Fast Expand. That seems to be getting more popular in Protoss land as we speak, so the new metagame is Zergs taking bases all over the place, Protoss doing Forge Fast Expand, and Terran doing a kind of a push off one base, and then they see what's out on the map, and according to that either sustain the push or expand. And there come the Zerglings, they're just going in for the attack. The first cannon is going to go down, but then the push is petering out. Nope, not getting in. So by this time, oh here we go, more hatcheries, worker numbers increasing. We've got 11 workers versus 23, so TSMU Protoss might be okay. And I wonder what kind of a build order is TSMU going to do with a Forge Fast Expand. We've only got a handful of Zealots, only one gateway, more gateways coming. I think this is some kind of tech. And with the Zealots and the Zerglings, it's going to be a hard fight for Zerg to break through. I would have hoped for Black Crow to do an expansion. And again, one cannon going down, but with the increasing Zealot numbers and 4 cannons, it's going to be okay. Now the Corsairs are in among the overlords of Black Crows, and they're all here, no anti-air whatsoever. So Black Crow, it looks like, will be supply blocked for the remainder of this game, because yep, there we go, the Corsairs just going to hover over the main base. All the while, okay, Zealots and Archons, that's going to be make short work of this Zergling army. Look at that Archon, and I really would like to ask TSMU and Im42 to make me a unit portrait and kill count thingy in OpenBW, because I really like to show how many kills these Archons have got. And the Zealot Archon push is killing the drone line. So without further ado, not before thanking Black Crow for its attempts to beat the game, we are going into the last game of today, which is ta-da-da-dum! It's Ironbot versus Eric Hammer. And before I show you that, let me show you the ranking on the ladder. We've got Crazio on top with 2404 ELO rating, then Ironbot, and then Eric Hammer. And Eric Hammer is taking games of Ironbot, is taking games of Crazio once in a while. Crazio and Ironbot are very close at the moment, but Ironbot is still very strong. And then we've got TSMU Zerg, Marian Diveka, and Thomas Weider's Simp with very good ratings. Behind that, Bereaver, Martin Roger's Leaderbot, Meg Raves, Team Hammer, the original one, Simon Prince, Stone, and then basically comes the rest of the pack. But the top 5, Crazio, Ironbot, Eric Hammer, TSMU, Marian Diveka. Crazio, Iron, and Eric Hammer are being updated all the time. Work on them is so incredibly frenetic at this point. It's basically anyone's game. So I thought for a last game of today, I'd take, well, I can't have a 1 versus 1 versus 1. I thought I would take Iron versus Eric Hammer. Perhaps I should have given Crazio the chance to redeem itself after the defeat to Nukes at the hands of Bradberg, but you never know. So Eric Hammer going for a lot of workers, and that's really a lot of workers, and then a handful of Hydras. Of course we get the same thing again, Hydras versus Vultures. Vultures can't really contend, but it seems like the Vultures are not really determined to pick a fight with these Hydras, just keeping at bay, preserving their numbers. And it looks like more and quicker factory tech by Ironbot. So Eric Hammer now with 10 Hydras on the field versus about 8 Vultures. The Vultures at the base of, oh, they've got to fight at the ramp now. Iron really needs a tank, and is this going to be a beatdown? If it is, I'll take another game, just for good measure, because I always like to end the broadcast with a good game to show what the state of the game is, and it looks like Eric Hammer is just going... Oh god. This mine has gotten stuck on top of the ramp. Ooh! And somehow teleported into the middle of this pack of Hydras. Now the Hydras are losing their strength because there is a tank out and should take... oh, and the lair is late. The lair is late, so Terran is out there now. And the Hydra numbers are not sufficient anymore, especially with a tank coming up. It's going to blast these Hydras straight to hell. Might get an SCV tag along for some repairs, but the Hydras are fighting way too hard, and Iron's army is slowly but surely increasing in size, and ooh, that is going to... You really need some support units with your only tank, and an expansion too. So the tank dies, and the lair is done. So the Hydras are now up against... Oh, and the expansion is pretty late, so please just put 2 tanks behind these bridges, defend for a while, but Iron wants to attack, and now it's got some vultures, but Eric Hammer either saw it coming or just made some sunkens in the path of the enemy. But the Spire is rather late. The Spire is rather late, and this will give Iron a much needed chance to get up its defenses, shore up its economy with an expansion, and the armory is nearly done as well. So Spire completed, armory completed, so now it will be production of 3 bases, 3 base Muta versus 2 base Goliath. But as you can see, Eric Hammer's only got 13 army supply, and this one tank is really on a suicide mission. Please don't do that. Iron's still so harassy, and just taking an A-move tank into a combat with about 10 Hydras, that's not going to be good at all. And the Vultures can't really do much against these Sunken. So, of course, the third is rather open, but with an extra Sunken, it's pretty safe at the moment. Might have one here, because now you can have your gas harassed. And there is one tank, but where is it? It's far in the rear, and the Mutas are pressuring the natural. Mutas are pressuring the natural and are pressuring the tank as well. The tank, where is the repair? There is no repair! But the tank holds, because there was some mines underneath here. I don't know what it is, but by this time I fear that the Mutas may be ready. And if the Mutas are ready... Oh, look at that. Eric Hammer exploding all over the map. And there are the Mutas. So between the Mutas and the tank, there was a tank somewhere here, it died. Between the Mutas and the Hydras and the map control, Iron is being put under a lot of pressure. And the Hydras, of course, are being thwarted a little bit by that turret, but the composition of Iron, I don't like it. I must be honest, I do not like it, and although I like these vultures killing off drones in the middle of the map, the vultures are not doing it anymore. You'll really need some kind of staying power, and when the Mutas come off to help, sure, it will give... Oh, that's good. High ground uses by Ironbot as well, that's pretty pro. Ironbot really needs some fighting power, and I think the era of harassment is done. The era of harassment is done. Bots can defend too well by now, and we used to have the era of 4 pools and zealot rushes. That's pretty much done now too, although a zealot push still is pretty dangerous. But gratuitous harassment all across the board is being cut down, and now it's just going to be an economic war, which you can hold on for a bit to base Terran, because the Goliaths have such good anti-air and the tanks have got such good versus ground damage. But the economic situation is getting way out of hand. It's 50 versus 73 workers, and the main is getting low, and that's the worst end of the stick, that Eric Hammer is going to explode, economically speaking. It's got so many bases, all of them are defended versus workers, and not all of them as well as the main and the natural, but all of them have got some kind of a sunken defense, and work at the natural is being shut down by these Mutas. The big question is when the Mutas will have finished with all oh dear, one Wraith, how brave are you, my boy? with 2 SCVs for repair, found itself. That's like the last submarine. Okay, here come the Mutas, and the Goliaths are doing massive damage, but the Natural's unprotected, and there goes your income. Ironbot at 100 minerals and build this last Goliath, I think, because there are just too many Mutas, and although the Mutas are dropping like sparrows from the sky, it is too much. Look at this constant wave of units. Technology-wise, we've got an Ultra Cavern, and we've got the map being taken. Here comes the Queen. There you go, and the infested command center immediately starts building the infested terrain. Here is the map. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so can we do that? Yes, of course we can. So Eric Hammer over Ironbot, and then let's see Crazio versus Eric Hammer, and of course take the big game, because hey, why not? Okay, so keep this in mind. And I need to check if this is... Yep, this is the new game. Eric Hammer beats Iron. So now the question is, will Eric Hammer also beat Crazio? Eric Hammer starting out as the orange Zerg at the right lower corner, and Crazio as the yellow Terran in the top left, so that's a nice divide between them. Eric Hammer going for expansion first, then a third, and having built a pool before that. Crazio going for the standard bunker with a couple of marines, and then the very quick expansion. So, Zerglings of Eric Hammers scouring the map, taking up position outside Crazio's natural. Crazio with the expansion up. Worker-wise, it's a little bit balanced, and Eric Hammer going for, it looks like not the same builders versus Iron. I think this is going to be a Spire, so for the time being, and Crazio of course will have spotted this, because Crazio always spots everything and assumes the worst. So here we go, the Muta wave, and that's a lot of Mutas already. So that's really committed. It's 3-hatch Muta, of course it's a little bit slower than 2-hatch Muta, and Crazio has got some anti-air, but not all that much, and oh god, here we go, there are no Goliaths inside, and these depots already providing vision are going to be cut down, supply blocking Crazio, and the Mutas are strong in this one, taking down the Goliath. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Eric Hammer killing Crazio like a bird with a tennis racket. It is murder. It's absolute murder, and all the SCVs are being scattered. Eric Hammer, a force to be reckoned with. Did I get the correct... Yeah, it looks like I got the correct game. The natural with the bunker still a little bit impregnable, and the Goliath... Where are these? Oh no! Oh no! They are now taking on the tanks while taking a lot of damage from this bunker and the turret and the Goliath, giving Crazio a chance to stabilize, and Crazio's worker count is okay. Fourth now up for Eric Hammer, but with the main still operational and Goliaths being produced, these Mutas, they started out so well, but now they... Where are they going? Oh please, they aren't badly damaged. No, some of them are, but not most of them. They could snip in here, and earlier they were flying straight across the main, killing units left and right, workers, buildings, everything, and now they try to take on this Muta. Oh, this Muta death trap, which is Crazio's choke at the moment, with the bunker, with the turrets, and with oh well, that's almost 10 Goliaths. I can't imagine what would move these Mutas to get in there. Eric Hammer though seems not to be concerned about making a big army. It's building workers. It's 60, taking bases, going for map control, and if it switches back to some kind of ground composition, Crazio might be in for a nasty surprise, because it's got so many Goliaths, it's got an anti-air composition, and Eric Hammer now at 70 workers, stacking up gas if it makes a decision what it wants to do, and Crazio not being able to move out on the map, taking a third now, but all the other bases are taken by Eric Hammers, and Eric Hammer really pressing Z for macro, or D for macro. It's just building drones, The Mutas shutting down the construction of this third for the moment, but there aren't too many Mutas. The army supply, okay, now we're talking. I saw this increase. I saw it increase, and Eric Hammer, what's it going to do? I see one queen, Defiler Mount, 30, and Crazio now with a push. With a push, and Crazio is such an expert at keeping its army tied together. The Goliaths are fighting versus Mutas and the tanks versus the Hydras. Crazio needs to move out at this point, needs to make something happen, because Eric Hammer is taking the map and you can't get the let a Zerg out of the box like that. Tanks in the middle of the map without any support. I don't know if that's wise, but they are enfilading these Hydras. More Hydras coming though, and this is the Terran's nightmare scenario. These Goliaths, they have lost touch with the tanks. The tanks are now here with some vultures doing map control, but they can't really break down this sunken. And that's, yeah, Overlord's dead fish. But the couple of sunkens for Eric Hammer are really doing work, and Eric Hammer now trying to get some kind of an army together. We've got Hydras, we've got Mutas, and it's happening all over the map. So that is a big struggle. Crazio's got some siege tanks, got some Goliaths, and got some SCVs. Might even start building turrets, but the bank of Crazio's not there. It's got Crazio's on 3 bases, and this game has taken off. This base being taken by Crazio, so it's only 3 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 versus 8 is much better than 3 versus 9. The Mutas are doing a lot of damage, but the Goliaths are just not enough. The Goliaths are not enough. There is no irradiate, it looks like. And that's going to be a major problem for Crazio, because the entire expeditionary force, okay, one irradiate going off, the entire expeditionary force is in imminent danger of being cut down. All the ground units without air support are prey to Mutas, and the Muta count is rising. 75 versus 75 workers. Crazio now doubling Eric Hammer in army supply, but all the army of Crazios is almost surrounded. There is some kind of an expeditionary area controlled here by Crazio, and oh well, nice irradiate, but Eric Hammer is getting to be so very strong. Look at this Muta ball, one-shotting things left and right, taking Goliaths on head-on with a couple of Hydras for support, and Crazio desperately trying to make a push with one tank and a couple of supporting units into this base, doing damage to the workers, so that's good, and being able to sort of support it through here. These Terran units are so strong, and thus if he cuts this in half, he can basically split the map, so that would be okay for Crazio. Eric Hammer is doing a lot of damage, really macroing its heart out, but the composition is favouring Terran. Terran units are so much stronger than Zergs individually, and if as a Zerg you don't get a really nice flank together, or a nice death ball of an army, or just large armies with swarm, because I saw, here we go, I saw the Defiler Mount, I saw the Ultra Cavern, and at this point with Hydras and Mutas you are just losing so much money fighting cost inefficiently. And Crazio slowly taking the map. Army supplies still double, but with the upgrades for Terran being better than those of Zerg. Oh, look at that! Irradiates going off left and right, tanks and Goliaths marching onward. This push has been cut down by Eric Hammer. I missed that because there is so much going on right now. The Mutas though can't really get to grips, but there is, oh, the Goliath numbers are falling too. Crazio really is fighting this tooth and nail to support this this push down the middle of the map, and here is where everything's happening. We've got Mutas here, there, and the Goliaths are really doing work, but they're getting low. They need to be repaired better, and it's just one big beautiful murder of an attrition match going on. The Mutas though, and that is really where I should gripe a little bit with Eric Hammer's. Eric Hammer is using Mutas as main battle units, and they are not that. Mutas are for harassment and picking off things, and if you get into a situation like this, Muta Hydra is not the composition you would like to see. Crazio is rolling out and over. Eric Hammer with only 20 army supply, still got the eco, but it's fighting Crazio in small bands, and that is not good. And there goes the base. Crazio taking a base, and this base will be next. Nothing much happening, but you can see the science vessels must have spotted it already. And yep, there. Oh, we've got a nuclear silo too, so perhaps we're going to see some fireworks and all. In the middle of the map, some small advanced actions by the armies of Arakamas, but Arakama is fighting this on too small a scale, and Crazio, being the veteran he is used to large-scale conflicts versus Ximp, versus Icebot. It's keeping its stuff together, it's protecting all the air units with ground units, and protecting ground units with air cover, and the Goliaths and the medics are there for the SCVs. Crazio is pressing at the natural, not going for this base over here, some drones being produced to increase mineral production. Arakama is struggling, 55 workers, but the big problem is this huge death ball of Crazios advancing upon the natural of Arakamas. Arakama can't really, well, can defend an incursion upon this base, but in the long run, to stop a Terran army of this magnitude, you really need to have, yeah, there we go, you need Swarm, you need Zerglings, you need Ultras, you need Drops, you need Guardians, you need to do everything you can, and just trying to out-macro them with Hydras and Mutas. In the long run it won't work, as we just seen. It will not work because the Terran units are so strong. Crazio setting up a separate push, now banking money with the economy it's got. This base will be gone soon too, because a couple of tanks are now shedding the last sunken. The main is under attack, Crazio maxed, Arakama has got 0 army supply, so yeah, there we go. Earlier we saw Arakama taking down Iron. Now we are seeing Crazio taking down Arakama, so the question is, what will Iron versus Crazio look like? That's a nice long game as well. So yep, that's the one. We are going to get that on. Now we've got Iron, where is it? Iron, is this it? Iron versus Crazio. So Crazio will win over Arakama, Arakama over Iron. And that's the top 3. So let's see how Iron versus Crazio is going to turn out. Okay, that was the beginning of the game. Pretty quick. Crazio going for the standard bunker with a Marine, then a couple of mech units, more production, and a relatively late natural. Iron going for harass, because Crazio's here. Oh, and a run-by. That's the run-by. That's pretty good. SCV's coming off the line. Crazio going for a Wraith, but damage is being done. That is a pretty pro run-by by Irons. There is still one Vulture left, but with a Marine, oh no, a Vulture and a Wraith. The Wraith now will take control of things. Iron starting its own expansion way before Crazio. So I think the damage, that was worth it. And Crazio relying too much on the one bunker, and with run-by, well, Iron of course the only bot who does a run-by, and I hope more bots are going to do that, because it requires exquisite decision making when to do it and how to do it. Now we've got Wraiths keeping the Vultures at bay. We saw that earlier. The Vultures of Iron are still a formidable weapon, and still doing damage and still moving out of harm's way if harm should choose to venture out. Crazio taking the natural late, while Iron's is already up, and Iron is transferring workers. So worker-wise it's okay, army-wise Crazio a little bit behind, and that is the big problem with Iron. If you let it take map control, and if you use these raids not for anything else than to defend, you really need to do damage, and there is the first Goliath for Iron already. So what you'd like to do with a couple of raids is just sneak in here and pick off the odd SCV, keep Iron off its toes, on its toes, or perhaps do something about these Vultures. But now we've got these Vultures and 2 Goliaths already, 1 SCV, 1 tank, and you really need to be pushing this back with the tanks, otherwise you're going to be in a world of hurt. And what will Crazio now do to break out of this contain? Because the contain is there already. We've got a minefield, we've got turrets, and all that is lacking is a couple of tanks to make the surround complete. Crazio's got 1 tank, natural up now 2. Iron hasn't taken a 3rd, but here comes the first tank. And once the tank is there and the wraiths are there, Crazio is going to be harassed out of its mind, and Iron is... this is looking so familiar. Iron with the contain, and there are no Hydras, or there were no Hydras to contest the Vultures in the early stages. The Wraiths are so passive for Crazio, he might really do more with that. Of course you can't with buildings and Wraiths move in there, there are too many turrets. This one may burn, yep it does burn down, but now Iron's here with the tanks, able to shell the high ground because it's got Wraiths of its own. You can't really harvest from here, and Iron now taking the mineral only 2. So Iron looks to be in a good position, almost doubles the army supply, worker supply a little bit ahead, and while we saw Eric Hammer kill Iron and Crazio kill Eric Hammer, I think the circle is going to be complete if Iron can manage to beat Crazio. Of course there is the surround. Crazio really needs to get out of there. Do it with drops, do it with anything, set up a tank push here, ferry them out, take the high ground, tear down these power generators, because a couple of tanks here can give you a major strategic advantage in not being surrounded too easily. And this is a very good tank placement as well. So Crazio finally learning to use high ground to its advantage, and it should be able to push back Iron a little bit. But Iron is not going to be stopped this game, taking one more base, defending it with turrets already, placing mines at every base and only strengthening the contain. The tanks of Crazio are too passive, or you could say the tanks of Eric Hammers are too active, but Eric Hammer has got this Crazio shut in a hole, and if you are in a hole it takes a hell of a lot of doing to get out of it. Crazio on one base, this base as I said can't really be mined from because of the tanks on the low ground, and Eric Hammer now with more bases, more production also at the other base. It's taking its time. Eric Hammer is not going to attack into this because there are a lot of tanks. The losses will be enormous if you try to take this by force. Iron is going to do this by attrition. It is going to starve Crazio, and if Crazio is starved it will not be able to produce as much anymore, and you can already see the gas is running out for Crazio. It can't build tanks, and Ironbot can just make the better composition right now. And these tanks at the front, every once in a while the Vultures move in, the Goliaths move in, the Wraiths pick off one, the tanks inch on closer, and over there the third, the mineral only for Crazio was shot down already. Crazio cannot mine. The SCVs, it's a panic, it is a refugee situation, and the tanks of the Green Army are at the gates. And Iron doing this so very beautifully now. Max banking money at an alarming rate. Turrets all over the map, and look at this, just a path of spider mines from here to there to everywhere. The Wraiths are not really as effective as might be, but the tanks and the Wraiths and the Goliaths and the Vultures are pushing, inching, just putting pressure on Crazio, and Crazio's army is falling. It's only 24 versus 110. Iron is bleeding units, but Crazio's army is now only 12. That's one Wraith, one Vulture, one tank, and one tank here. And the tank here, of course, it's doing a murderous job. It's sniping stuff left and right, but in the end it too will fall, and the Wraith takes a couple of hits. Iron is with a lot of pressure making its way up the ramp, and so we are in a situation where Eric Hammer now reliably beats Iron, Crazio beats Eric Hammer, and Iron beats Crazio. So with that triangle complete, I thank you for watching. Come visit our website and watch these bots play 24/7, learn to play against them and code them yourself. I say that too often. Hope to be with you again next week. For now, goodbye, thank you, and see you again soon.